Can you be a part-time real estate agent? Did you know that being a part-time real estate agent does not mean that you won't be successful or that you cannot make a full-time income? Well, I was a part-time agent and I made a ton of money, and I'm gonna tell you exactly how to do it. Let's go.
Noel. Yeah, she can fix that. If you gotta get it done, or you need to do it better, well, she can fix that. Yeah, she can fix that. Investment to get back, trying to get a big stack. She can fix that. Let's fix that.
I'm going to share with you a detailed step-by-step guide on how to go from zero to real estate agent in a matter of weeks. I'm going to share with you the fastest way to get clients as a real estate agent that will pay you full-time. And last but not least, I'm going to share with you my dirty little secret to making full-time income only working as a part-time agent. So let's talk about the real estate business. As many of you guys know, real estate agents represent buyers or sellers in a real estate transaction. Meaning, there's agents that represent buyers. They will take them in their car. They will get clients. They will show them the clients different houses, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, white picket fence, or whatever the buyer wants, and get them to buy a house and get them under contract and help them that way and get a commission. Then there's also agents that help sellers. They go to sellers that want to sell their homes. They offer them, they do a presentation for them, and then they offer that they will be their agent. They put the sign in front of the home, put the property in MLS, and when the home sells, they will get a commission. So this is how most real estate agents earn a living. They either represent buyers or sellers in transactions, and they take them and they help them sell their homes. And again, this is a great way to make money for most people, but most real estate agents do not renew their license. Unfortunately, that means that most real estate agents do not make enough money to continue in the business. To get your real estate license is a very daunting process, and in fact, it's actually very expensive in some states. You could spend thousands of dollars in months getting a real estate license only to never get a client and never make any money. This can be very disappointing to people, but that is because in real estate school, where you go to learn to be a real estate agent, they never actually teach you how to make money, how to get rich, or even how to get clients, or even if you should represent buyers or sellers or all of the different types of real estate that there is to do. So in most cases, the real estate education is just not sufficient for people to actually make money. So let me tell you the real secret on how to make money as a real estate agent. So let me start by telling you my story really quickly. As many of you guys know, I started investing in real estate with a full-time job. I had a mortgage job and I was fixing and flipping houses in Atlanta. This was 2002, 2003. I had a full-time job and the market was great. Property values just kept going up and up. So I made every single mistake that there was when it came to flipping houses, and along came 2008. In 2008, everything crashed. I lost everything. We literally ended up with bankruptcies, multiple foreclosures, and back in my parents' basement. It was awful. But while I was in my parents' basement, I was able to turn things around. I literally started to learn about the real estate game the way that I was supposed to, thinking like a real estate investor. I found this coach and he taught me something that I had never heard of before. He taught me a concept called wholesaling. That is where I will find people with property problems, meaning people that were behind on their mortgage payments and divorce and bankruptcy, probate, or, inherited a house they didn't want. They got relocated and they had to sell the house. Whatever the situation was, they were having an issue. He told me to find those people, target them through letters, mailers, signs, different things like that. They will call you, get them under contract, and then you flip those contracts to other investors for a fee, like $5,000 or $10,000 fees. So literally I started getting properties under contract. I started flipping them, flipping contracts, and I made a ton of money and I was able to get out of my parents' basement. However, that game was really separate from the real estate agent game that I had learned in 2003. I had learned that real estate agents help real estate investors find properties. And unfortunately, that is how I ended up in my parents' basement. When I was flipping houses in 2003, 2004, 2005, I had a real estate agent that was helping me find houses that needed to be fixed, but she was finding them in the MLS, meaning they were retail properties that needed some work, but regular people were selling. But when my coach taught me something different in 2010, it completely changed my mind. I was able to find people that would negotiate. They would go down on their price because they were in a situation. They had this problem that they needed to solve. They were behind on their mortgage payment, for example, like me, and they didn't want to go in foreclosure and end up in their parents' basement. So they would gladly sell those properties to investors and I could make money. money off of it. It was an incredible thing, but it made me realize the difference between the education that a real estate agent gets and a real estate investor gets. It was completely different. Real estate agents were working for commission, and real estate investors were using real estate to make money. They were flipping houses, they were using them as rental properties and getting cash flow, they were putting tenants in, and they were doing all of these things and making so much more money than I'd ever seen any real estate agent make. So let me tell you how I became an agent investor, because that's where the real money is. If you are getting great information and you have learned a lot, please make sure you share this video. I'm sharing some amazing content, and you need to share this with anyone that needs this information. So like I said, as an agent investor, which is what I became, I started using my license completely different and was able to make way more money. Most real estate agents either represent the buyer or the seller, and they receive a commission. But as a real estate agent, you have access to so much information that you could use for yourself as an investor. I told you that I started helping people when I first started making money wholesaling. I started helping people like me, people that were facing foreclosure. I was getting them before they actually went into foreclosure the way that I did. Once they were behind on their payment, 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, I was already calling, emailing, sending them letters, putting out signs that said, hey, are you behind on your mortgage payments? And people would call me up and explain their situation, and I was able to get those houses for pennies on the dollar. So that was an amazing way for me to make money without a license. But then once I added the real estate license in there, I was able to get even more people that were having property problems. For example, I started then targeting people that had tried to sell their home unsuccessfully. These were called expired listings. For example, you have a person that's tried to sell their home with a real estate agent, and they listed it on the market for 6 months, and people came, they saw the house, but no one bought it. Now, 6 months later, do you think that person still wants to sell their house more, or do they want to sell it less? They probably want to sell it even more now. So as a real estate agent, I now had access to all of these people that had already raised their hand and said that they wanted to sell their home. Now I was able to email them, send them letters, put out signs, go talk to them and get those clients as well. And in many cases, I was able to get rental properties from those people because, again, they were ready to get rid of the home and they were ready to sell and move on. And even if I was the tenant and rented that property for them, I was able to get those deals. So I was able to amass lots and lots of properties. Today I have hundreds of properties just by adding in my license and getting access to information that civilians don't have. So the lesson here, if you're not getting it, is you can use your real estate license to get access to information to help you as a real estate investor. No, I don't really suggest, you going to find more clients to buy houses for. That's not necessarily Noelle's deal. If that's what you want to do, totally okay with that. But having the real estate license has allowed me to get information that other people don't have access to. I can quickly see how much properties are worth. I can find people that already tried to sell their house that couldn't sell it. And I have information on foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, and all that information that's not available to the general public. So I have created an entire training that teaches you all about real estate investing. It teaches you my exact formula for investing without losing money, and in many cases, how to find deals for free. And the best thing, the training is absolutely free. Check it out at noellsfreetraining.com. Again, that's noellsfreetraining.com. NOELLES, noellsfreetraining.com. Make sure you check it out. I want to make sure that you have all of the resources, all of the tools, and all of the knowledge that you need to be successful. This is Noelle, to your success.